Hi my friends, and welcome to our second story time of our summer reading program. So last week, if you guys remember, we listened to the story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Goldilocks and the Three Bears is a story that's from Europe, and today our story is from Africa. It's from a country called Ghana. Can you guys say Ghana? Very good, Ghana. So today's story from Ghana has a special character in it, and I'm going to give you some hints about what this character is. So the first hint is that this character has 8 legs. You guys think of animals that have 8 legs? There's a couple. And then my next clue is that this creature spins a web. You guys think of something that has 8 legs and spins a web? A spider? You guys are totally right. It is a spider. So here's our spider for today. And our spider has a name. And his name is Anansi. Can you guys say Anansi? Very good. So Anansi is not the nicest spider. He's a little tricky, and he's also a little greedy. So today's story is when Anansi wants to sit down and eat his lunch, but then he has an unexpected guest. So we are going to start our story, and if you guys remember, we said that we were going to start our stories by saying the words once upon a time. Can you guys say that with me? Once upon a time. Very good. So that's how we know we're going to start. Once upon a time, there was a spider named Anansi. Anansi was a little tricky. Anansi was a little greedy. But today, Anansi was also very hungry. So Anansi went out into his garden and he picked some yams and sat down and cooked them up. And they were cooked to perfection. And Anansi took a deep sniff. He went, and went to take his first bite when all of a sudden he heard a knock at his door. This made Anansi feel very frustrated. He took a big breath in and he let it out. And he got up and he answered the door. And outside was his friend Turtle. "Hello, Anansi," said Turtle. "My, that smells delicious. What are you cooking for lunch?" "I picked some yams," said Anansi. Turtle's stomach growled. "Oh, Anansi, I have been traveling all day and I am so hungry. May I join you for lunch?" Now, Anansi did not want Turtle to join him for lunch. However, it was a custom that if anyone visited your house during lunchtime or dinner time and wanted to join you, you had to invite them in. So Anansi invited Turtle in and had him sit down, but Anansi thought of a trick to make sure that Turtle wouldn't get to eat any of his lunch. As Turtle was about to take his first bite, Anansi stopped him. "Turtle, look at your hands. They're covered in mud. You can't eat lunch with hands that are covered in mud. There's a river outside you can go wash them in." So Turtle went outside and he went down to the river and he washed his hands and he came back to Anansi's house, sat down, was about to take a big bite when Anansi stopped him again. "Turtle, your hands are still covered in mud. You'll have to go back to the river and wash them." And Turtle looked at his hands, and they were covered in mud. So he went back down to the river, and he washed his hands, and he came back, sat down, was about to take a big bite when Anansi stopped him again. "Turtle, I'm afraid that your hands are still very dirty, and you'll have to go back to the river to wash them again. But lunch is getting cold, so I'm going to go ahead and get started." Turtle agreed, went back down to the river, washed his hands, and very carefully, only walking on the grass, walked back to Anansi's house and looked at his plate and saw that all of the yams were gone except for the tiniest morsel. Anansi had eaten them all. This made Turtle feel very angry. But instead of getting mad at Anansi right away, he decided to play a trick on him. So Turtle said, "Anansi, thank you very much for lunch. I'll have to return the favor sometime," and went home. A little while later, Anansi was feeling very hungry and remembered that he had been invited to lunch at his friend Turtle's. Turtle was a great cook, so Anansi decided to go visit him. He put on his jacket and went down to visit Turtle. "Hello, Turtle," Anansi said. "I'm here to visit for lunch." Turtle said, "That's wonderful, Anansi. Please do come down to join me for lunch." There was a problem, though. Turtle's house was at the bottom of the river. So Turtle jumped in to go home, and Anansi tried to jump in too. But Anansi was so small that he didn't sink. He tried and he tried, but he could not get to the bottom of the river. Finally, he looked around and he saw some stones, and he decided to put them into his pocket. And sure enough, he sank down to the bottom of the river to Turtle's house. In Turtle's house, there was a delicious spread for lunch, and Anansi went to take a big bite when Turtle stopped him. He said, "Anansi, I know that you are hungry, but I'm afraid that you cannot keep your jacket on when you are sitting down to eat lunch." So Anansi took off his jacket and floated right back to the top of the river. He tried jumping in again and again and again, but without his jacket and without the stones in the pocket, there was no way he was getting back to Turtle's. So, feeling pretty sad, but also feeling like he had been tricked himself, Anansi went home, and Turtle enjoyed his lunch all by himself. So that story is about being kind and not tricking people, because sometimes if you play a trick on someone, they might play a trick on you too, and that doesn't feel very nice. So that is the end of our story of Anansi. And next week we are going to be heading back over to Europe for our next fairy tale. I am going to be putting out a couple of books on a list on our Facebook page. If you guys are interested in maybe reading some more Anansi stories or other folk tales from Africa, we have a whole section in our picture book area that are stories from around the world. They're not all fairy tales, but if you guys wanted to explore some stories set in other countries, that's a great place to go to try to see those stories for yourselves. So next week, again, we are going to have our story times posted on our Facebook page and our YouTube page, and you can see those story times there. We're leaving them up for you guys so you guys can enjoy them as many times as you want. And in the meantime, we are very excited to be announcing that we have opened up the library again. We have some limited hours, but you guys can actually come into the library and pick stuff out if you'd like. All those hours are posted on our website at fernridgelibrary.org. And if you guys have any questions, of course, please feel free to call. We are still offering our curbside pickup service if you guys wanted to just drop by the library and pick up some stuff. And in the meantime, have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you next week.